the pain threshold necessary yet to cry uncle.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can start hunting down people in charge of Iran again, but it makes them hard to deal with if you don't know who's in charge.
And that's been Steve's point, and he's been 100% correct on that one, which is like, who are we negotiating with? Can we make a deal with who? Who's running the show?
Yeah, does the person we're negotiating with, do they actually control the IRGC? I mean, that's happened in a lot of smaller third world countries, that the first world is trying to do a deal with the legitimate government, and the military is just doing whatever they want behind the scenes because they aren't. The civilian government really has no control over the military.
So do you think we got anything done in that trip, or are you like in line with that framing that I just laid out?
I mean, yeah, I mean, they did something. They didn't do nothing. I mean, Rubio's out there. Ultimately, he's trying to figure out who he's got to do a deal with to begin with, who he's working with, and build relationships there. But
like, does it seem like we either A, de-escalated Iran, B, de-escalated Taiwan, or C, made a trade deal?
Oh, we've de-escalated Taiwan.
Not
we have
before
seriously
this trip we did,
Taiwan.
but do you think anything was said in that trip that de-escalated Taiwan?
Oh no, China's trying to escalate it. Like, we go there every time we engage China, the Taiwan heat gets turned up. So we have that problem because that's all they want to talk about with us, and they feel like political opinion is on their side right now.
Right.
That this is that the Iran engagement is unpopular, and as such, China holds all the cards.
Well, it's unpopular because they've psyoped everyone into hating it.
Yeah, because the Chinese literally paid for it, and just like they've psyoped everyone into hating data centers for some reason.
Yeah. Speaking of data centers, we got memory is up next. So Micron, everyone knows SanDisk has been, just on an absolute tear. Micron just passed Berkshire Hathaway for market cap. I asked the question in Steve's chat yesterday, like does that seem like it makes sense? I think it's a fair question to ask. It seems like
I'm going to tell you why.
Well, so it seems like some patterns have been getting noticed, that a lot of times at the top of each memory cycle, that's when the PE or the forward PEs look the cheapest. But what happens is when the EPS, fades off and slides back down because the bottleneck is shut and supply meets demand, then the earnings fall back off, and then you just have to wait for another cycle. So you said you bought the stock, right?
So the bears have been looking for that signal for forever, and here's where they're going to be totally offsides this time.
Okay.
Because it actually is different.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a bit of a long-winded analogy here, but if you stick with me, hopefully I can get the mental model out there, and it'll make sense to you.
Okay.
Let's go back and imagine a world where we did not invent the internal combustion engine, and there's no such thing as gasoline or diesel. But we did discover oil, and we did discover you can make useful things out of oil. Plastics, right? So we have a decent economy of oil and gas, but it's all based around making plastics, making chemicals, right? But we just don't make gasoline yet. So everything that's used is going into making something. So we'll have these cycles in the economy where people have money and they buy all the stuff they need that's made out of plastic, and then when they have enough, they stop buying. Like a hospital, has to buy a whole bunch of supplies, and once they get their supplies topped up, they stop buying. The same thing happened in computing. Everybody needed a computer for their house. Every business needed a computer for every employee, and then they needed a smartphone for every employee. And then there's all the other little electronic devices that use chips and have a little bit of memory in them as well. But there's kind of like a natural carrying capacity to how many devices a person represented in the economy that they would use of memory. So that's the equivalent of having like the plastics in the oil business. Now what we've done with AI, as Dana Ives says, is we have invented the internal combustion engine. We have invented the token, which is now the consumable of compute. Now we burn compute, and we burn it rapidly. So there is never a reason to say, nope, we're done generating compute. We know we have as many tokens being produced as the world can consume. The world can say it literally cannot consume any more tokens than are being produced. At that point, that theoretical point, which more on that later, that would be the end of the CapEx cycle because there's no more demand for tokens. The problem is, if you feed more tokens, you get more result. You get better results. You get better decisions, better accuracy. And those decisions that are brought about by the AIs are going to lead to more power accumulation. And because people always want more power and more wealth, there will always be a need for tokens. Tokens are the new consumable, and everything that is in the supply chain of the consumable has its TAM massively increased.
So memory is just downstream of the token factory.
Yes. So you're never going to reach a point where you're like, oh, yep, we have all the supply of tokens we need. We'll never need to make any more. Nope, we can always have more. Because then we can either go faster or cheaper. That means one of two things. Either your compute's going to be faster or cheaper.
Which, and all that demand means that instead of having cyclical demand, you might actually have durable demand, which is why Micron is building 4 new factories, and why the earnings might this time not actually go down, but just could be sustainable, because DRAM could go from being the razor blade handle that every few years you have to buy a handle just because you need it, to now being the razor blade. It's now consumable.
Yep. Exactly. That's a better analogy than I made. Yep. Memory used to be the handle that you used to buy every few years whenever you upgraded your PC, but now the reason you're using AI whenever you're talking to Gemini or anything else, you're burning tokens. They need tokens faster and cheaper, and that means more memory, more compute, more energy.
That said, I still don't own any. I just see too many signals, too many crazy signals. You know, you've got like the ETF inflows.
Yep.
You've got the price targets being the price targets. You've got the price action being the price action.
Lackability asks, so y'all no longer think it's cyclical? Well, I don't know. I can't speak for Austin, but
I'm on the fence right now.
Okay, but I won't say it's no longer cyclical. I'm just going to say the cycle is now probably decades long and not 2 to 3 years long. Not a single upgrade cycle. Like the memory cycle used to kind of coincide with the upgrade cycle on video game boxes, so Xboxes or PlayStations, because those would require a lot of memory be purchased by some of the big producers, or you'd have a new major tech revolution in operating systems that would require more local memory. Yeah, those cycles are no longer the ones that Micron is worried about. They're now worried about that. Micron's biggest problem now is whether there's another technology that's going to replace what they do, rather than, oh, we have fulfilled all the demand and no one wants memory anymore. Because we have a friend who made the argument saying, oh, well, that's all we need is another DeepSeek, and they're going to come along and destroy all the current models, and they're going to be so much more efficient, and no one's going to need any of this capex anymore. And I'm like, that's not what's going to happen. If you get a more efficient model that comes on that might be free or whatever, they're just going to use it to capacity that they already have. Like, my cousin's a mechanical engineer, and he was telling me, they got given Claude at work, and within day one, he had run out of his allotment of tokens for the month.
So Wong says, I think there is a chance that China comes out with a cheap memory for at least the consumer. This would not fly in the United States. There's virtually zero chance of any Chinese hardware maker entering into the American market. I think is that not controversial, right?
Right. I mean, maybe the memory that your washing machine uses, the little computer in your washing machine or your refrigerator, like that stuff will be cheaper, but the memory that's going into your smartphone is bleeding edge, generally pretty close to bleeding edge technology. The memory that's going into your computer, into your camera, your digital camera, that's going into your consumer drone, all that that's going into your PC. Anytime you have to buy a new PC, that's all high quality stuff. Yeah, maybe we're doing cloud compute now for graphics. So, the current consumer video game machines are no longer going to be getting DRAM directly put on them, because you're going to be getting cloud compute rendering and then streaming it to you. But yeah, that's
if China is able to produce more supply of memory than we are, which I know I just mentioned,
we'll just use it.
Well, they would use it, but like that could be a foundational advantage for them, because if we're bottlenecked and they're not in memory ends up being one of the key, if not the key, to making the whole thing go. We might be stuck on second base while they're rounding third. The other thing that I think,
we better hope that's not the case.
Well, yeah, we better hope. But there's smart people working on that. I'm not trying to FUD or anything. One of the other things I was thinking about is NVIDIA. What if, I haven't seen any signs that this is something that they're going to do. Just kind of talking out of my ass on this one. But what if NVIDIA decides that they want to pursue memory? Like, wouldn't the multiples of a lot of these other companies compress pretty rapidly?
Talk about it.
Yeah, so if NVIDIA, who they just kind of kick ass at every product that they release, comes in and makes a better product, or at least like a very competitive product relative to SK Hynix, Samsung, and Micron, that would not only bring on more supply, but it could also hurt the pricing power that they currently have. DRAM pricing is up like 7x in the last 2 months or something like that. If you brought more supply, it would help feed the imbalance and normalize it.
I mean, you can say that about anything in this AI supply chain, though.
Sure. It just, to me, that just makes it feel like memory is a little bit more fragile than some of the other stuff that feels more like architecture. Because a lot of the reason that Micron and SanDisk are getting bid up is because DRAM pricing is elevated. What happens if DRAM pricing comes back down? Like it's kind of like an oil company. So think about if you own Exxon and the price of oil goes up, then Exxon goes up, right? Same thing with Hood and Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin goes up, Hood trades up. Could that be the case with memory pricing and memory chips? I think that's a reasonable guess.
I just don't know where in the world that we live in now, where you're all of a sudden going to be able to just snap your fingers and bring on production. Because remember, these are new factories that are going to require more silicon. They're going to require more energy. They're going to require all the things that all the other builders and construction companies are fully allocated on right now.
I'm thinking like long term, like years down the line. Can Micron and SanDisk sustain this pricing power? Like, does it stay in shortage for 10 years or 4?
I think I think they have pricing power for the next 20 years.
Whew. All right. So Micron, here we come.
Because, well, look, we haven't even begun to think about how much storage a general in the intelligent system is going to need.
That's an unknown, though, right?
Those may need massive amounts of memory that we can't even, like, all we're doing right now is throwing neurons together, basically in neural networks and we're starting to see emergent properties come out. If we actually get to artificial superintelligence, it's going to need massive amounts of memory, and we don't even know what that's going to be yet. So basically, what we've done right now is we've built the part of a brain that can think about things that are going on right now, and some models have more context than others, right? But most of the models and most of at least the free levels of stuff you have access to don't have a lot of context. They won't remember a conversation you had a month and a half ago, right? A general AI will.
Right.
And it's going to remember that, and it's going to be a singular AI that had the same conversation or had conversations with everyone that it interacts with, and it remembers all of them at the same time.
And that can be applied not only just to ChatGPT, but that can also be applied to agents that you're using in your business. It can be applied to coding that you're writing. So say you've written code 5 years ago using Claude Code, and now it's 2031, and you're having to like go back and review the code. Like you're still going to need that information. So that's all going to be stored on memory. Same thing is true with anything that's been made with Gen AI, and then you've decided to put that into production. Like you're going to want to store that somewhere, right? You don't just like put out a project, even if it's marketing, if it's commercial, if it's something that you uploaded to Instagram. You're going to want a version of that stored somewhere. So yeah, I can see how that thesis could play out. Where I'm at is like, me, I like investing in stuff where my conviction rate feels like it's greater than 90%. Like I don't take well to like losing bets. So while I might not hit a 10xer every single year like a lot of people do, I almost never lose money in terms of like I've bought this stock and it's gone to zero. Almost all of my names long-term trend up. And it's just hard for me to see if Micron is one of those names, but I would not be surprised at all if 3 years from now it's doubled again. Not investment advice, but that's like, it just wouldn't surprise me either way. It just feels more like a really lopsided coin flip rather than like I would be willing to bet a lot of money that it is going to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it's how much imagination do you have for the future,
right?
And how much money are you willing to put on it? That your idea about how things are going to play out comes true. Because there's a decent chance I'm wrong, and we are in the same cycle. Because everyone's like, "Oh, it's different this time," but it's actually not different this time. Which means Micron's going back to $50 per share.
So the real AI bottleneck is just sand, right?
Yep.
Just sand. That one's for my
That's what I asked
Call
you.
of Duty players. So like,
let's just go to the bottom of the supply chain and just. I actually was looking for this earlier today or yesterday. What companies sell sand? Like
Would
the
that be
high quality
Freeport?
stuff that you can put into ASML machines.
Would that be Freeport McMoran, or like there might be like a processing company, right?
Yes, yeah. Who is processing the sand? Who's mining it, distributing it? Because concrete suppliers also need sand.
Right. Yeah, I guess we could like live search that if that's interesting. Who processes data center sand or semiconductor sand?
Does anybody in the chat know?
High purity quartz sand. There's a mining company called Sibelco. Have you heard of them?
Those publicly traded?
I'm not sure, but this is how it's spelled. Sibelco.
Because doesn't it seem the way the market has been acting, like it keeps trying to find the next pick and shovel, blah, blah, blah. Well, if they're going to keep doing that, they're eventually going to get to sand, right?
Here's what Google says. It won't give me pricing though. Let's see. Yahoo Finance might come through for us.
Russell Stock Exchange.
Oh, there's no chart. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, it's like I was not able to find a lot of these companies, because this seem like, you understand what I'm saying, right? It seems to be a race for the next step in the supply chain.
Sure. Well, so here's Yahoo Finance. It's just there's no chart available. Sibelco. If you search them and type in stock, this is what you get.
Yeah, well, it trades in Europe.
Yeah, but like it should still give me a stock chart. Look, like this pricing's weird. Why did the stock not trade all day? The VWAP open, high and low are all the same number.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's because we're so early to the party.
Oh, here you go. Oh, but why is it trading down? It's traded down a lot. Is this GME? What's happening here?
I mean, hey, it might be a shit company, and then there's other good ones too. Like,
It might be. Let's find out the processing question here. Is headed to an electric arc furnace to strip away oxygen, creating metallurgical. Oh, I sound like a
metallurgical.
Metallurgical, thank you. Grade silicon. This is a multinational industry dominated by major producers in China, Russia, and Brazil. Interesting. So that's just MGS though, which is only about 98% pure. You actually need it to get 99.999999999%, which is a different company called Hemlock Semiconductor. That's the only American company on this list. There are three others. One's Chinese, one's German, one's South Korean. Have you heard of these people, Hemlock?
Nope.
Let's see if they're private. Oh, private. All right, time to see if you can get into a round. You gotta call up your boy, get into an SPV.
Yeah. Because I mean, Amcor is packaging for semiconductors, and that one is run. So every little step along the supply chain seems to be catching a bid every time the market discovers it. So I'm just trying to race into the bottom. Maybe I can get in super super cheap. Basically lay traps. Buy options for super super cheap, and get paid in a long time.
So the question I've been asking myself, and I'm only 30, but sometimes I feel like I think like an old man. If
Okay, confirm.
if this was the industrial revolution of like the railroads, and that's like the analogy that I've been using for a lot of my thought processes, the first industrial revolution, second industrial revolution, now we're at the AI revolution. If I was a stock picker in the early 1900s, would I be interested in investing in a company that buys steel and copper and turns it into rail track to be laid? Would I be interested in buying stock in a company that makes and manufactures the cabins of the train? And would I be interested in investing in the company that makes the furniture that goes inside the cabins of those trains? So you get the idea. And usually I just find that like I like evergreen spaces a little bit better, like stuff that I can just like leave alone and will always be finding new customers because their TAM is massive, which is why instead of buying Micron this morning, I bought Shopify back. I sold Shopify, I think I told you in December,
Yeah.
for 170, and I bought most of it back today at 107, 108 in that range, because that's just a TAM that can just roll on indefinitely. When you buy the train companies, like eventually the need gets fulfilled and demand flattens. At some point, it might not happen for decades, but at some point it does.
Yeah.
So maybe this is just like being short trains in 1880. I mean, I'm not short AI, but I just can't get comfortable with the visibility of demand.
It's a perfectly rational thing to say.
It's what makes a market.
Yeah. And it's two different types of trades and two different types of investments.
Right.
And it's perfectly fine to say this is not one that I particularly like.
Yeah, and of course there's anecdotes as to like, some of the shenanigans that are going on that you see. It's not anything as bad as like 2021 shenanigans, but shenanigans nonetheless. Like there's some guy that is running this hedge fund that no one had ever even heard of 6 months ago, and now all of a sudden like he buys a stock and it goes up 15% in the after hours. Okay, does that seem appropriate? Like that wouldn't have happened 9 months ago.
No, but they're not asking me. So
these are some of the questions that go through my head sometimes. Did we want to talk Nodo, or did you want to get to Palantir first?
I mean, gosh, they're both a little bit the same. No, I mean, start with Nodo.
Nodo. So obviously he was on basis points, and the main clip that came out of it was him talking about options. But I think outside of some of the clips that went viral and him talking about our stock got hit because of interest rates, I think the meat of the interview was Nodo explaining how they think about capital allocation in the company, how they think about growing the business, how he thinks about adding on to the flywheel that helps them cross-sell different products. They have a really, really good talent at customer acquisition and getting people in the door. And the phase that they're in now, that they have 15 million members almost, is converting those direct deposit banking customers or student loan customers into more than just that product. And I think he did a really good job laying that out and what the value prop is and defending the stock. And, not every management company does this, and SoFi didn't do it for a long time, but I thought they did a fantastic job defending the stock. And shout out to Chris Hager. Hager? Do you pronounce it Hager?
I don't know.
Data-driven investing is what most people know him as.
Okay.
And he now works for SoFi IR. And, he's part of the reason that the interview happened. I think he helped put out for the company, why was dilution necessary for being accretive to shareholder value? And they put out this big 4-long page, breaking it down. It's really, really nerdy stuff. I won't get into it here. But I think if you look at this company at $15 versus when it was $15 4 years ago, they're two entirely different companies. Management has turned the corner on diversifying the business. Revenue is growing fast. Users are growing fast. Cross-sell is working. They're unlocking new products in credit card and in home loans. They are the technology side has not worked out as a B2B business to this point, but it's still there helping their internal needs. They, as a management team, have done just such a better job in defending what the long-term plan of the business is. And they now have more tangible book value than they did at that point. So I think they're in a great spot to continue compounding, and I really like the interview.
They have done that team in particular has impressed me, although I've had my own frustrations with them as a shareholder. But as just watching businesses do business as a business owner myself, just the number of times they have had to pivot. Like they've made a prediction and a business plan based on what they think the market's going to do, and it does almost the opposite. And they pivot, make a new plan, and start executing it, and do it successfully multiple times.
Their primary business line was outlawed for 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, like porn hasn't had that much headwinds from government, right? Gambling was legalized while this stuff was going out of business, right?
Right.
So, I give them a lot of respect for their ability to find ways to keep their business operating and making money. Because it's not easy to say, hey, everything, I know we had a plan, but that plan is over. So y'all figure out something else to do here.
Yeah, they pivoted from student loans into banking, and then into personal loans, and then into selling those personal loans, and now into credit card, SoFi Plus, and home equity, which is now starting to come back a little bit. So I think this just sets them up so well. And right now the sentiment has been that we might get some rate cuts. We can even talk about the Fed now too. It's kind of relevant. A lot of people are pricing in that we're actually going to get hikes. Like, what happens if we get cuts? This thing, does it rip right back to $30? You tell me.
I mean,
new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh.
If you didn't here's what I don't understand. If you didn't like SoFi at this price now with these possibilities on the horizon, you're going to wait to buy it at twice the price once you get clearance on what interest rates are going to do if interest rates go down.
So
Like
the
that's what the
idea could
market's telling you right
be
now. It's like
the idea
they
could
don't like the
be
business at all until interest rates go down, and then they're willing to pay twice the price at that time.
yeah. So the idea
That
could
doesn't make any
be
sense.
if they get confirmation that rates are coming down, they're happy to pay $23, $27, $31 to buy into a stock that could go past 40, 45, 50 when shorts get off the back, S&P 500 inclusion happens, and the company gets flush with cash and they don't have to dilute anymore. Like that, those things could all very much happen with just like 3 rate cuts, right? So you don't really mind buying in the 20s and 30s if you think it's going much higher than that, especially over the long term. I mean, he talked about $1 trillion company. That was kind of a statement.
Yeah. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him.
So what I'm trying to find here, I'm trying to find Chris's post. I think this is it. Yeah, here it is. And I'm going to post the link here for anyone who wants to go check it out. I don't think that can actually be clicked as a hyperlink. So what I'll do is I'll post the X link. So what this is he goes over the benefits of the capital raises, talking about the intermediate and long-term value accretion, the use of the funds. Here's the tangible book value per share. So we can see that a lot of 23 and 24 even was spent just building out the business and getting the flywheel going. And now we're starting to see some of those results. And then he, breaks down, did it make sense to dilute and pay off these warehouse facilities at 5.23 versus the effective fund rate at 3.64? So this was actually put out by shareholder investor relations. And I'm sure Chris had a part in it because this is kind of like right up his wheelhouse. Highly recommend to check it out. What else did we have? Palantir. You wanted to talk about how it's trading like oil, right?
Well, I just wanted to talk about how I can't figure out who is owning this and trading it. Because we sold it off because it was software, because it was Claude. But now the SaaS apocalypse is over and it's time to start buying it again. But not Palantir. It's now trading like an oil company.
Did the people who bought it at 180 ever actually understand what Palantir does? And do those people think that Anthropic is disrupting them?
I think the better question might be, did they sell all of their Palantir to buy Micron?
Yeah, that too. Like maybe they traded growth for growth, right?
Yeah, because and then that runs us immediately into kind of the next topic, which was the space companies. Specifically, I mean, Rocket Lab's amazing, but I kind of want to roll that directly into the SpaceX IPO. Is they're going to need something like $80 billion on day one to just maintain the opening price?
We sold Palantir. No,
we did not.
We did not. We did not. I've been buying Palantir.
I'm adding to my position.
Yeah, this is the most attractive it's been to me in a while. Not investment advice, guys. Do your own research, but I've been buying here. Bro, can you hear this puppy? He is whiny.
Yes, we can. What a whiny boy. He hears my voice. He wants to play with Uncle Doug.
That's what's happening, exactly. So yeah, the lady, she just said she just got home, so should be any minute now.
Okay,
It's taken out. Yeah, I think I think a lot of people are underestimating the moat that they actually have, and I think Anthropic is doing actual damage to their multiple, and with time will come results that will show that those people who thought that Anthropic was going to eat into their business didn't know what they were talking about.
They absolutely do not. I cannot stress this enough. Palantir is commoditizing the LLMs. The LLMs are not commoditizing Palantir, which is what's being priced right now. They're like, oh, Anthropic. Somebody said, oh, Anthropic and OpenAI are coming for Palantir. I'm like, that's not what's happening, bro. You're saying that the minnows are coming to eat the shark, and that ain't what's happening.
Now, with that being said, Anthropic, and I think people get it twisted because they've been able to scale revenue faster. So I think people have this idea that that means that it's more useful. That's not what that means. Oh, hello. But yes, more revenue doesn't mean better, longer, more durable moat. Not the same thing. Two different metrics. Coming to partner with them. So Hollis, cool profile picture, by the way. Wonder how many tries that took. Palantir and the Department of War already use both systems. So they use CENTCOM uses Palantir software, and they run it using Anthropic LLM. It's LLM agnostic, but Claude is the best one, so that's the one that they use. So in a way, they kind of already do have a partnership, but I feel like they also disagree on a lot of core principles. Would you agree with that, Dougie?
I think that's fair. Palantir is very much America first, pro-Western civilization, and I would say that Anthropic is full of a bunch of doomers who can't come out and say those things in public, but believe them in their hearts.
Speaking of pro-Western civilization, we've got rockets. Rockets. So SpaceX is going to IPO. I'm not allowed to talk about the SpaceX IPO that much, to be honest. I know Erwin's not, because he also works in the financial industry, but yeah, not too much SpaceX I'll be able to talk about, but I will say that I sold my Rocket Lab, and I'll say that a lot of that had to do with some of the action that I'm seeing around the IPO in terms of how much excitement there seems to be. And I made 90% on my Rocket Lab in 1 month. And it's now at a 110 price to sales. And I know that the sales can grow really rapidly and, justify the price. Guys, I'm a Palantir investor, not an idiot. I understand that it can grow fast. But Palantir has a really high margin and they make money. Rocket Lab doesn't yet. And I am a little bit worried about what can happen over the next 6 to 9 months. So for that reason, I jumped out of Rocket Lab, and that's what I ended up using to buy Shopify. But I think you had like a side Rocket Quest, right?
I did have a side quest.
Okay.
Recently.
Do you want to tackle SpaceX Rocket Lab ASTS first, or are you going to do the side quest?
Oh, we'll do the side quest first.
Okay. I'm excited to hear this. I haven't heard this.
All right, so I'm gonna share this in the private chat. And let you pull that up. So over the weekend, I went to the Texas Shootout rocket launch in Seymour, Texas. It's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Memorial Day weekend. And me and a couple of guys in Houston teamed up and broke the national record for the L impulse.
Want me to roll it?
Yep, you can roll it. So it's a research motor, which means we built everything ourselves. Mixed the fuel, mixed the propellant, did all the chemistry on that, manufactured the pressure vessel to hold it in, and then also built the airframe.
So is this the same flight? I see 2020 down there.
Yeah, it's just the camera's date is wrong.
Okay.
So, but we broke the record by a couple thousand feet, but we forgot to. We didn't know we were going to break it, so we didn't file the paperwork ahead of time to make it an official attempt.
Oh my gosh. So you'll just have to do it again, of course.
Yeah, so we're just going to do it again.
Gosh, that thing took off fast.
Yeah, just under Mach 1.
So that's like 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Oh, it's still going. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so really nice view of the northeast Texas farmland there.
Oh, I'm gonna get dizzy.
All right, you can cut this off because it'll make you dizzy.
Awesome.
Lots of spinning and flopping around on the descent, but yeah, that's
awesome.
our that's the gang getting together and doing something fun.
Dude, I'm so glad that there's like smart people like you who know how to like engineer stuff, build stuff, make it all work together.
When is the mini one coming, like the Rocketeer? Mini? What do you mean mini, Hollis? I did fly one that was much smaller, and it went to just under Mach 2, but the parachutes didn't come out, so it made a, like, I don't know, 4-foot rocket-shaped hole in the ground.
How tall is that one that we just watched the video of? How tall is that?
That one is, I don't know, almost 5.5 feet tall, 6 feet tall, maybe. No, it's short. It's definitely shorter than me.
Okay, so like most of what the rocket is fuel then?
No, not really. Let me pull up the design. I can show you a couple of things. So yeah, we can go into the just for a minute. We can go into a little bit of this fun stuff. Sorry, I would have had the stuff open if I knew you were going to ask me.
No, you're fine. I saw Rocket Lab made like a few acquisitions too. They raised some money. I think they did that at what 120, 130, somewhere in there. They issued some shares. They hit the ATM as like Matt.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean,
it is smart, but it's also like kind of a signal, is it not?
So in my mind, these big space companies, like the top 3 or 4, they're basically halo trades. I mean, it's not something you can get into easy. Maybe there'll be a merger, but you know, like Blue Origin could acquire Firefly or something, right? But I really find it difficult to believe that there's going to be another launch company come into existence at this point.
You don't think it's early enough that like, or you think
it's really hard to do, and you have to lose money for a long time with no chance of revenue.
That's true. Yeah, so the moat's wider for sure.
Right. I mean, like, just try to say you're going to be a customer of of any of these companies. It is going to be really, really difficult.
So the only other companies that I think could pull something like this off are companies that A, have lots of money or cash flow, and B, have an internal use for it. Because what could happen is a company who has an internal use for it could build it themselves for their own uses and then just build it out from there. Sort of like AWS did for Amazon. So if there is a new entrant, I bet that's how it would happen. Is this the rocket here?
Yep. Make sure it's showing. Okay. Yeah, so this is basically the design. So the motor section is back here. And this is the largest motor that would go in. The one we flew probably is half the size. So this airframe will be able to take an M-class motor, which is at least double the impulse of the one we flew over the weekend. So this compartment here, that's where the parachute goes, and then I have electronics and computers in this green compartment, and then up here in the nose as well.
Now, obviously, things get a little bit harder once you start adding payload to it, and you have to get it all the way to the top, right?
Yeah. So basically, this rocket's payload is just the vehicle itself.
Right.
So in a couple of weeks, I'm working with 3 different universities, and the whole thing I'm volunteering for the International Rocket Engineering Competition. It's about 160 universities are coming to Pecos Tech in Midland, Texas area to compete. And one of the things they have to deal is all of their projects have to carry payload. So we have things as exotic as one team has designed a 3D printer to fit inside the rocket. So they're going to test the ability to operate 3D printers in high G.
Well,
and then another one is going to try to have some like worms and centipedes and isopods survive the Texas heat in the summer by effectively. So basically, they're trying to have like a mock life support system, right? So they're going to have to loft power and cooling and humidity control for the little soil creatures, so they don't live out there, because they might be out in the sun for like 8 hours in the desert, which would probably kill them all, right? So they're literally they're trying to build an air conditioner that they can fly inside of the constraints of their 6-inch diameter rocket, and it has to survive going 30 something G's or whatever.
Yeah, you better secure that container, whatever they're flying in.
Yeah. Hollis, lot. We're doing a lot of 3D printing.
Yeah, everyone's talking about Redwire. Okay, so
that's a Nancy Pelosi stock.
Is it?
Yep.
All right, so I'm a little bit ignorant on this one here, so I'm researching it for the first time. Up 9% today, up 148% in the last month, which has been most of its gains. So yeah, that's over the last 5 years. That's been most of it. So it's just gone parabolic here.
Yeah, and Nancy bought it like last fall. Oh, if you have seen over my head for most of the last hour, that has actually been my 3D printer running in the background. So
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, that was my 3D printer.
Yeah, so like this, basically the entire move has come in the last 4 weeks.
That's crazy.
And you're saying she bought back here last fall?
Yeah, she bought right around election or not election, but yeah, last fall.
Okay. So she's definitely making money.
Oh, she's the greatest trader of all time, bro.
So we're growing. Wonder what happened here. Did they have like a generation skip?
I'm sure. I don't know. I don't. Can't
Ooh,
say I
boy.
follow too closely.
I don't love that operating income. Ouch.
Nancy doesn't buy because they have good fundamentals. She buys because the stock market go up.
Oh, look at the dilution. Ouch. Ouch. That's tough. They've basically tripled their shares in a year.
Yeah.
Negative free cash flow. They don't care about their gross margin. Okay, so they're clearly building something here. They're burning cash. They don't really care. EBIT is negative. Gross margin out the door. Profit margin, who cares? Backlog. Now this could be a company where like a backlog like this can go from 1.3 billion to like 8 billion overnight, right?
Yeah. Well, whenever they finally get their product done, like, and then it's for sale now, then that's all they really need, right?
Provides critical space solutions. Okay, that makes sense why it's up now. Space infrastructure, government and commercial. Okay. So this is like ASTS's little brother. Is that about right? 1,400 employees, founded 6 years ago.
Like I said, I don't know what they do. I thought they did more drone stuff, but I guess that's more Red Cat than Redwire.
Yeah, Red Cat is the drone. You're correct. I think they were even at one of the AIP cons.
Yeah. Oh no, I think that was Red Cat again. Because Red Cat CEO has been on Amit's channel a couple times.
Right. Yeah, the drone company. Navigation payloads, camera systems, infrared, software, cloud-based environment. Is this guy the founder? That's actually my biggest question right now. No, he was not. He was the CEO of a different company. Interesting. Who's the founder of this company, guys? You guys know this company. What's going on with this company? NASA contracts.
So they're building space hardened or radiation hardened equipment.
Sounds like it.
It sounds like they're a subcontractor for.
We're scaling employees. Okay. 4.7 billion though for this. I don't know. 4.7 billion market cap for
a baby JPL.
12 price to sales. I guess that's not that bad at all. Truly. Like especially a company like this.
These are NVIDIA numbers.
That's really the only thing you can use at this point is sales because everything else is negative. Let's see. We've got 145 million. Of course they do. They diluted. Ouch.
Goodwill?
You don't look at Goodwill?
No.
Bro, you got to look at Goodwill.
Exactly like Charlie Munger did on Goodwill.
What's that?
Like it's when they're telling you about the value of their goodwill, it's garbage.
Well, yeah, it's garbage. What I'm looking for when I look at Goodwill is I'm looking to see if the company was good in their acquisitions, right? So I know we just kind of talked nicely here about SoFi a little bit ago, but one thing that they have not done that great of a job at is acquisitions. Look, they've more or less wasted $1.4 billion on acquisitions, right?
Can you explain to Lackability what goodwill represents?
Yeah, goodwill. Let me pull up the technical definition here.
Yeah, Venom. I think these are basically Halo trades. Like there's going to be huge capex to get into them. So you've done a good job buying a moat around a few companies that are in it.
Goodwill is an intangible asset recorded when one company acquires another company for a price higher than the fair market value of its net assets. So what will happen a lot of times is a company, usually the bigger company, will acquire a smaller company. And then within a year, 2, 3 years, once the acquiring company subsumes the smaller company and integrates them, it then becomes pretty clear what the fair market value of the company should be. And then you end up with goodwill. Basically meaning if you've got a lot of goodwill, you might have actually overpaid for the company that you acquired. So Redwire, I think we were looking at the balance sheet, right?
Yep.
Inventory. All right, so this tells me that they've got production up and running. We like it. We've got the PP&E. Okay, that makes sense. They built out PP&E, and now we've got inventory rolling. Accounts payable is going up, so they're making some sales. Not much short-term debt. Not that much long-term debt either. So they've financed mostly through equity so far. We've got some leases, which makes sense. Yeah, see, you're just taking on big losses. Like you were mentioning earlier when we were talking about the SpaceX IPO. You have to be willing to lose money for a while. I mean, this chart's getting worse, not better.
Yeah, a long while.
All right. Interesting. We need to. Have we been able to get Siege? He's elusive. This is like right up his alley.
Yep. I haven't seen him today. He must be enjoying the night off.
Sure. Speaking of the night off, I'm about to hit the hay.
All right, brother.
We want to call it?
Yeah, we can call it. We got to stop taking 2 weeks on in a row off, though.
Yeah, that's my fault. We should have done one when you were here, but I think we were just so wiped out from Friday, Saturday. We went kind of hard.
But we were just having too much fun.
Yeah, we were having fun. And then Sunday was like our veg day. But thanks everyone for joining. We appreciate you guys in the chat. Always keeps things a lot more interesting. Hard to like recap 3 weeks into an hour and a half here, but we'll do our best. We appreciate everyone coming. Bye, everybody.
Bye.